Hi, I'm Ryan Erickson with Farmer Bean and Seed here in Yuma, Colorado. And today we're going to be looking through the Colorado State University bean trials. There are several replicated trials out here that the Colorado State University has put on, and we'll publish the results later. First variety we have here is SV6139. It's a Seminous variety that has yet to be named, but it's very close to the Windbreaker, which we'll get to here in just a minute. We really like this plant. It's a little shorter season than Windbreaker, has nice plant architecture, and also has been a really good yielder for us here in the Colorado area.
Go ahead.
SV6139 has a really nice pod set to it. You can see it's a little bit closer to the ground. It didn't get viney, but this one plant right here is absolutely full of pods. The next variety that we have here is a UNL variety bred by Dr. Carlos Urrea. It is the NE417 variety. One of the things that I really like about these newer varieties that are coming up in the trials, as you can tell, they're a much earlier variety, and we don't sacrifice any yield on that. NE417 has an equally good pod set. You can see that this plant is a little bit tighter to the ground, but like many of the other ones in the video, is full of pods, and each of the pods are full all the way down. In this variety plot we have Windbreaker. Very similar to the SV6139 that we looked at earlier. It's just Windbreaker was developed as one of the very first direct harvestable varieties, and has caught on in many of the pinto producing areas around the United States. This is the Windbreaker variety, and you can see with this pod set, these pods are full. They're very uniform in their maturity, and we still have some nice green vine here for the basket. Windbreaker was definitely one of the very first stand-up varieties that made it direct harvestable, and is still very valid today in the Midwest region. In this variety plot we have the Treasure Valley variety Staybright. Staybright was one of the very first slow darkening pintos that I remember coming on the market. It is a little bit longer season, and you can see it in comparison to some of the other varieties in this plot, but it definitely stands up and has nice plant architecture. This particular plant also has a very nice pod set on it. You can tell that this is a little bit longer season than the other varieties in the plot because these haven't quite finished out yet. Sometimes with these newer varieties, you can see where they've bred them, we start to notice a little bit more blank pods or blank beans in a pod, and I just think that it's a varietal thing. This variety right here is from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and it is another Dr. Carlos Urrea variety, the NE21737. This variety is one you can see is a little bit earlier. It needs to be out in the field and in the test plots a little bit further, but we do have a high hope for both of these NE varieties in this test plot. You can see in this plant, this one definitely has some of the older, more typical vines that you find in pinto plants, but this still is a bush bean. These are just some genetic things that will throw off. You can tell with this plant has got a very nice pod set. All of these beans are maturing fairly evenly, which is a very good thing, and we're still maintaining the leaves and the vine structure. In this plot right here, we have the Roughrider variety, which has been probably for the last 10 years a very staple variety in pintos and pinto production. A close examination of the Roughrider pod set shows that, like many of the beans in this trial, they've grown close to the ground, but it's got a really nice pod set and should be a decent yielder.